I had never participated in a family seder until about 8 years ago in Israel. In Uganda, we have communal seders. I believe that this practice stems from the fact that many elders in my community did not read or write, so they entrusted the task of leading the seder to one person in the community who was more educated enough to do it for everybody else. Although that is no longer the practice, or that is no longer true today, the community still prefers communal seders. There were many attempts to introduce family-oriented seders to the people of Uganda. You may have guessed it right, it did not work. Rabbi Gershom, who we have hosted here before at Betham, and who, just like me, had traveled around the world and loved communal family seders, proposed a compromise to hold a communal seder where families sat together at the same table. No one sat with their families. And by no one, I mean including me. I did not sit with my brothers. For the Abidaya until this day, seders remain a communal experience. My first time experiencing a family seder was in Israel in 2018 with my lovely Israeli host family in Jerusalem. The seder was held both in English and Hebrew, predominantly in Hebrew. It was more traditional, so we read and sang everything from the Haggadah. I was very surprised that such a small group of people, such a small seder, could be so enjoyable and could last so long. Since then, I have been hosted in many family seders throughout the US. Some very brief, while others lengthy. Some included more reading, others included more singing, some with more Hebrew and some with more English content. One thing that I have loved about attending family seders is witnessing how seder rituals have been adopted and how they have evolved. The creativity and commentary involved in storytelling, emphasis on freedom and liberation in today's world, the highlight of the importance of teaching our children, our next generation, that this is not just an ancient story, it's our current reality, and that we need to find ways of moving forward. Some families enjoy a scavenger hunt while the young ones searching for their afikomen with clues inspired by the story of the Exodus, which makes it enjoyable and educational for the kids, and I was captivated as well. Some families sing Had Gadia with sounds of animals, sounds of fire, sounds of water, and the list goes on and on. All these ceremonies, all this creativity create lasting memories. Haggadot illustrated by children with a traffic stop sign aimed at Pharaoh to say, "Stop oppressing the Israelites and let my people go." Last, on this past seder, I witnessed, who would sing the who knows one the longest and hold their breath the longest. Somehow, it's always a teenager with better lungs, but I would say that the elders did not go down willingly, so they put up a fight. These adaptations, this storytelling, these rituals is how we bring our modern selves to the story of Passover. And I am interested and I would love to hear more about your unique family stories. Passover is known as our time of liberation. We should see ourselves as though we are part of the Passover story, as if we as well suffered at the hands of Pharaoh, as if we too witnessed the miracles of parting of the sea, as if we too exclaimed, "Who is like you, Adonai, Mi Chamocha," while we are on the other side. As if we too witnessed the suspension of the laws of nature to deliver an oppressed people. On Pesach, not only do we ritualize and imitate the story of Exodus, but we also march boldly towards freedom. We break into song. We tell our story of Exodus as a narrative of survival, a narrative of deliverance, and a tale of liberty. We acknowledge that this story is not just for us. It is for all people around the world. Last night, I had the honor of leading the Betham Women's Seder alongside Kenta Spal and Lisa, and the amazing women of Betham. This felt very liberating and empowering to me. Women introduced themselves through their mother's lineage, shared personal stories, expressed appreciation for each other's contribution to tradition. We also included stories of influential women in our history and as well as contemporary scholars. Women are slowly demanding and claiming this part of their God-given freedom of time. Throughout history, women's time has not belonged to them. It has belonged to either their husbands or their fathers. That's why this is one of the reasons women were not counted in the minyan, because they could not simply wake up one morning and want to go worship. The time was not theirs. Witnessing women reclaim their ability to manage their own time and pass this inheritance to the next generation is very empowering to me. On Passover, we not only share these stories of captivity and freedom, but we also bring awareness to those around the world who desperately need liberation, those who remain in captivity, to give them hope that there is a better life, that there is a better place, that there is a different story than they know right now, and that we are going to fight alongside them. The rabbis of the Talmud understood that when the Israelites were singing this song of joy after crossing of the Sea of Reeds, they were not just singing, they were crying and singing. The rabbis believed that a particular emotion is missing when we tell the story of Exodus, that the Israelites cried out in sadness. The Song of the Sea, which we read this weekend, and we read as well on the Torah portion, on the week that the Torah portion falls on, is a blend of joy and also sorrow. Sorrow, perhaps sadness, perhaps because we mourn for the time and energy stolen from the people by their oppressors. Sadness for those seeking freedom in other lands, leaving their homes behind. This is not an ancient story. This is a story that Jewish people know too well and have experienced over centuries, including stories of today's immigrations. Perhaps grief for the generations that did not live to see freedom. This week, remember the Exodus story, we read that only Joseph's bones were taken out of Egypt. The remaining Israelites were left behind in a place that the Israelites understood they would never go back. The remains of their loved ones stayed in that land, reflecting the story of many people who were forced from their homes in a hurry. This year, many people feel that their freedoms are being taken away, particularly women who feel like they are now not in control of the decisions regarding their own bodies. 59 Israelis remain in captivity by Hamas in Gaza. We mourn the loss of many children around the world who will never see and never witness a just society. Children lost to war in Israel, in Gaza, in Haiti, in Sudan, in Congo, in Ukraine, in Yemen. The list just keeps going on. As a society, we are constantly progressing towards greater freedom. That is what we are yearning for. However, we recognize the threats to freedoms in our times that persist. We are not yet on the other side, and maybe we are not even close, but we have to keep moving, to go forward. In both communal seders and family seders, I have experienced essences of freedom, narrating of our own stories in our own style, reshaping our rituals to include voices that traditionally have not been included, boldly deciding that this is how we want to hold a seder, reclaiming the gift of time to better ourselves and better others, and encouraging our children to challenge the narratives that we present to them and the conditions in which the world is in. Passover is not just a performative. It's not performative. We take this seriously. We take all the symbolism and the stories of Passover to be an inspiration for rebirth and for breaking out of our own chains and helping others break free from their own. But just like our ancestors on the shores of the Red Sea, this year we need to allow ourselves a moment to feel a mixture of emotions. We need to allow ourselves to cry. We need to allow ourselves to mourn, to sing joyfully, and then courageously step into the freedom that God has intended, not just for us, but for everybody around the world. May the day when we can sing only for joy come soon in our time. Shabbat Shalom.